Hello everyone, in today's video I'll be using gouache paint and acrylic markers to create an illustration. I'll be taking you guys with me through the entire process from the sketching all the way to the painting, so let's jump right into it. I don't know about you guys, but I love drawing characters interacting with each other, whether it be when they're talking to one another or they're just hanging out. But I especially love drawing characters interacting with their pets. So that's what I decided to do in today's illustration. And for any drawings that I'm doing, I like to think of the story behind it. So for this one in particular, I was envisioning this character kind of like they're walking in the park and they probably bumped into their friend or their neighbor and they stopped to talk, and they also were showing their dog some love by hugging the dog, and just very happy day in the park. That's basically the vibes that I wanted. So then once I made that decision, the rest of the decisions in this drawing were made pretty easily. For example, the outfit. So for the outfit, I wanted it to be like a sports or like an active wear, something really simple and minimalist, and something that got the point across. Then once I was pretty happy with the sketch, I erased the lines and lighted it up with the kneaded eraser, shaking the camera in the process as usual. And then for the inking, I always like to make the outer border with a thicker line, and then for the inner lines, I like to use a lighter line. That's just the pattern that I generally follow. I'm not that consistent with it, but yeah. And then for drawing the dog, I actually really suck at drawing animals for whatever reason. I need some more practice with it. But I always use like a reference photo. So I study the shapes within that reference photo and then go from there. I really take my time with it and try to study all the different shapes and the position of those different shapes. So it does take me a while, but I feel like with every animal I draw, I get a tiny bit better. Not really, but I hope I do. Honestly, if you told me to draw like a dog from memory, I would probably just draw like 4 straight legs and it would probably look like a table, to be honest with you guys. Like you couldn't tell the difference between my dog that I drew and like a chair or something. Then once I was happy with the inking process, I erased everything and again shook the camera in the process. So yeah. Then I took out my gouache paints because I don't really have a skin tone color in my acrylic marker set, so I needed to create this color from scratch. Luckily, I did have some of this paint left over from my previous illustration, the one on the left side, so that's what I used. And then for whatever reason, this paint was very patchy, meaning like it wasn't very smooth in the tone, so I went back quite a bit. I think I gave it like 2 or 3 coats, and with every time I went back, I felt like the color became darker and darker, which I think the skin tone is a beautiful color. I'm not complaining about that. It's just not what I envisioned in my mind. I feel like whenever I'm using these paints, like there's a lot of uncertainty, especially like with the colors that I will get onto the paper. I don't know, maybe with more practice with the paints, I would feel a lot more comfortable with them and the uncertainty would go away. I hope that's soon. Because I really would want to get better with these paints and actually paint stuff that's, that I envision in my mind. Then I took out my acrylic markers to color in the rest of the drawing. Now with the acrylic marker set that I'm using, there's not that great range of colors, so I picked a few colors that I wanted for this illustration. For example, I picked out a base color, and then for every base color I picked like a secondary color for like the shading. So like for example, a lot of the color that I used here was like the yellow color. So the secondary color that I used was like an orange color just for the shadow. And with this paint set or this acrylic marker set, the issue is that either the tones are too close to each other or they're too far apart and the colors don't really work well with each other. So that's what I was dealing with. Then for the shoes, I decided to go crazy with the colors and really just add as many colors as I could to those shoes for whatever reason. I like to think of these shoes as like the statement piece of this outfit. The probably like kind of like a statement necklace. And I added some of the colors from the shoe to the sweatshirt just to make the outfit more cohesive and more put together than it actually was. And hopefully it looked like that I knew what I was doing, you know. Then for the dog, I decided to go with this brown color. I just picked a random one, to be honest. There was not much thought process behind that. And I don't know why, but the marker was really streaking during when I was coloring this dog. Like you could really see those lines. I don't know if it was like my technique or what, but I was trying to be careful with all the lines and make sure that they were all straight and consistent. But despite that, it did not help. So I don't know, maybe I need to rethink my coloring game. Then here I use my highlighters to add a little bit more shadows. I felt like that really brought the drawing a whole nother dimensionality. I really liked how it started looking at this point. But yeah, I hope that I can use this technique in the future and, you know, add more color and shading to my drawings. But yeah, this is the final illustration. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope this inspires you guys to like pick up your own sketchbook and draw. Thank you all so much for watching.